Today's episode is sponsored by Aeroflow Urology. I partnered with Aeroflow Urology for over 3 years to help the autism community receive free diapers, pull-ups, and wipes at no cost through their insurance. With over 20,000 five-star reviews, their service and medical grade products are top tier. If your child is 3 years or older, see if they qualify in under 2 minutes at aeroflowurology.com. That's AEROFLOWUROLGY.com/MOJ. Welcome to another episode of the Moments of Joy podcast. We are so excited about this episode. We are opening up Autism Awareness Month with the amazing Holly Robinson Peete. And if you don't know her, she is an actress, she is a wife, she is a mother, but most importantly for this, she is a community member. She's one of us, a mom raising a child with autism. Holly, welcome to the show.
I'm so happy to be here. I watch you all the time. I think you're such a great inspiration in the community. And so this is a perfect way to kick off Autism Awareness.
Yes, it is. I am so honored.
Same here.
To have you. You know, it's just so important. I remember just thinking back a couple of years ago, just coming to your event, Design Care, and it's just so important to just be in the room sometimes.
Yeah, it is. It's very important. And that's why I wanted to be here, because I really just your presence on social media, I resonate with it so much. And it's encouraging for me to see the kind of work that you're doing.
Thank
and
you.
So I couldn't wait to come sit down and talk to you.
Yes.
So here we are.
I said I was going to try to keep it together and not get teary-eyed. And as I just was thinking about talking to you, I feel like I'm talking to my big sister, who's already been down the road.
And I've been down the road, and it's a crazy road, right? We have to stick together as a community. And that's why I think your podcast, your presence in the community is so important, because I'll be honest, when we first got the diagnosis, we didn't see a lot of Camille's. We didn't see any podcasts about this. We didn't have a place to go to just get support and be seen. And that was one of the reasons why we started to get into the business of advocacy, because we just didn't see it out there.
Yeah. And you talk about that. I have heard you probably 10 times, because I watch everything. Every time you're on any show, I'm watching. Well, first of all, let's go back.
Okay.
Because I know Holly Robinson Peete from Mr. Cooper. Mm-hmm. We watched it as kids. I was talking with my mom. My mom was like, you make sure you tell her your father will not stop watching all of her Hallmark movies now.
Oh, your dad watches the Hallmark?
My dad loves you
love
in
that.
Hallmark.
Tell him I got a new one coming out, so
Okay.
I'll be expecting him to watch.
I will. And then my husband, 21 Jump Street.
Oh, y'all just covered the whole 80s and the 90s and the 2000s.
Yes.
Yeah, I've been really blessed to have, especially in the 80s and 90s and 2000s, really a steady career, which is very rare in the business. So I'm so thankful and grateful, and feel very blessed to be able to go from literally my first show was a hit show. And then to go from that show, 21 Jump Street, to Hang with Mr. Cooper, which wasn't easy, because I had to prove that I could be funny, because Jump Street was a serious show. Yeah. Even though a lot of people don't realize that, because the movie 21 Jump Street was a comedy satire.
Yeah.
And but the actual show was about high school and cops in high school, but we covered everything in the 80s, like everything from guns in school to special needs to every kind of issue you can imagine we covered. And so that was a really great monumental show. And of course, that was a show that launched the global superstar that is now Johnny Depp. So that's a big deal.
Absolutely.
And Cooper was so fun, because it was a different side of me that I got to be. I mean, the character of Judy Hoffs on 21 Jump Street couldn't be any further away from Vanessa Russell on Hang with Mr. Cooper. I mean, Vanessa was just so kind of, she was just ditzy and funny and goofy, and I love the physical comedy.
Yeah.
And so those were just two great iconic shows that I was just really proud to be a part of. And still, when I watch them today, I still love them.
Yeah, and I feel like all of us millennials, we just know you from there.
Yeah.
So that's why we will forever love you, like a part of our childhood.
Yeah. When you are part of those iconic shows in those like definitive decades, especially the 90s, you just kind of live on forever in that role. And I don't mind that. We were talking earlier about another actress that, was like very well known in her role and kind of pushed back on it. I embrace it. When I see people, in the airport or anywhere I go, and they'll go, oh, I heard two people arguing, you're the girl from Hanging with Mr. Cooper. No, she's not. She's the girl from 21 Jump Street. I'm like, I'm both of them. So it's really a blessing to be in TV, especially to be a Black actress working at the time, and I have a lot of fond memories from those days.
Yeah. And I recently saw you post that your husband actually proposed to you on set of Mr. Cooper. That was so cute.
It was a moment. He was supposed to be, he was playing for the Cowboys at the time, and he was supposed to be in Dallas. And he did a whole mystery date thing on me. And I'll make a long story short, but the backstory to that proposal, which I think arguably is one of the best proposals ever.
It was
not just because it was me, but I'm like, that was really good.
You were surprised.
I was shocked. I was holding this like die-to-match little ugly pink purse, and I couldn't let it go. Like my hands were frozen like this because I was so in shock and so shook by him being there, because he wasn't supposed to be there. We were in California. He was supposed to be in Texas. He was going to be playing. It was a Friday night. You don't leave before Friday night on a football game on Sunday. Anyway, long story short, he was kind of dangling around that he wanted to do this. And so we went to a ring store. We looked at rings, and the jeweler, who was in on this whole thing, let me take the ring out and wear it to test it out. So I was walking around with my ring, just like everything was the ring, right? Oh, girl, right? Just doing the most with the ring. And then he let me hang out with the ring for a weekend in Dallas.
Wow.
And so I had this ring, and I'm thinking every day he's going to come home from practice and get on his knees and propose, because he hadn't proposed.
Yeah.
But I already had the ring.
Right.
So I wear it. Day goes by, 2 days, 3 days, no proposal. So then I had to go back to LA, and I'm like, what am I supposed to do with this ring? And so the jeweler calls and said, you need to bring that ring back.
Wow.
And I was like, I do? And he goes, yeah. I said, you mean he didn't call and put a credit card down? He said, So I need that ring back by close of business today, with an attitude. And I was like, oh my God. So in my mind, I thought I had scared him away. I was too needy, right?
Yeah.
So I went back, gave back the little ring, and then crawled in a hole for 2 weeks.
Oh no.
And he wasn't with me. He was playing football, and I was just like, I messed this up. I was doing too much. So he let me think that for 2 weeks, until he walked through that door and hang with Mr. Cooper with 4 cameras running, live studio audience.
Yes. And I love that it's on video and you have it forever.
Forever.
Yes. Absolutely beautiful moment. And you are your father's legacy. That is something to brag about. I see you post about him all the time, but I just before this made sure I just dug into who he was, and I was like, what a legacy.
He was an amazing guy.
Yes. Can you tell us about your father?
I think his name was Matthew Robinson, and I think what people don't understand about him or about his origin, he was the original Gordon on Sesame Street. So not Roscoe, who's the bald Gordon, who most people know, but the OG Gordon, the OG, original Gordon. He started that show in 1969. Now, in 1969, there was some heavy stuff going on in this country. We had assassinations, we had civil rights, we had some Jim Crow, there was a lot of stuff happening. And Sesame Street was a way to reach Black and brown children, but specifically geared towards Black kids. And so my dad was brought in. He was a local news, kind of local journalist, focusing on civil rights and Black issues in Philadelphia, where we lived.
Okay.
He was brought on as a consultant. At the 11th hour, the guy they hired to play Gordon something happened. He fell through. And they're like, Matt, can you do it? And he was like, I don't want to be on camera. Like, I'm not an on-camera guy. I'm a behind-the-scenes guy. I'm a writer. I'm a producer. But he did it. And he made that show sing. So that first episode in 1969, when he's walking down the street, look, you know, he introduces this little girl to Big Bird. And he's like, hi, I'm Gordon, and this is Sesame Street. And you're going to love Sesame Street. It was the beginning of an iconic show that is still going.
Still going.
Absolutely. So I was in Philadelphia, and I was the core demo for that show. I was 6. But for some reason, my daddy, well, I know the reason, didn't want me to be on the show.
Yeah.
Why? Because I was one of those little girls that was doing too much. Like, I was always trying to do a show for somebody. So my dad knew if he brought me up to New York from Philly to do Sesame Street, and I saw the lights and Big Bird and Oscar, I was going to want to go that way. He was like, no. So everybody in my block got to go up and be on before I did. Wow. So I was hurt by this. So I begged and pleaded and finally got on. And I had one line. I was supposed to say, hi, Gordon. And I kept saying, hi, Daddy. So I got my little line taken away from me. And it was hilarious, but devastating at the same time. So it wasn't until like 50-something years later when someone sent me that footage, I was looking for it forever, when I realized why my daddy didn't want me on that show. Because I was talking over everybody.
Yes.
The lady was trying to show me how to draw something. I tried to snatch the marker out of her hand to say, I can do it, because in school, I just doing too much. And my brother was there, didn't say a word. Anyway, but that was a legendary and an amazing show.
Absolutely.
And it did so much for the culture and shifted television in a way where we actually saw a Black man as the lead of a show.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And he did it in such a great way. And he was there for the first 5 or 6 years. And then he went on to write and produce many TV shows. The Waltons, 8 is Enough, Sanford and Son, and the Jeffersons.
Wow.
So my daddy was a very prolific writer. He preferred being behind the scenes. He didn't really like being in front of the camera, but he was good at it.
Wow.
And and then he was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease at a very, very young age, 46.
Wow.
At that time, he was a producer and writer on The Cosby Show. So, and he did all seasons of Cosby, which, whatever you want to say about it, was an iconic show, right?
Absolutely.
And so, so he was pretty amazing. But this Parkinson's came along, and this was before Muhammad Ali, before Michael J. Fox. We didn't really know what Parkinson's was.
Right.
And so, as a freshman in college, I was just watching my dad just struggle, and he had dyskinesia, and he had all these issues, and I didn't know what to do. I had to be his caregiver early on. I was only 19. I was going to drop out of school. My dad was like, no way, you're dropping out of college. Take care of me. So I did both. I was a caregiver and went to college full time for him.
Wow.
And that later on, when I met and married Rodney, that was when we decided to start a foundation to support families impacted by Parkinson's.
Right.
Before RJ was around.
Before you later even just became a caregiver to your own child.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I always say God wastes nothing. Like, it's all preparation for something else.
It really is.
And so you get married and you have children. And now, where does RJ fall in the order of your children?
RJ and Ryan were the first. So I had twins first, boy, girl, and had these babies. And I got 2 of them, like the football hole when you have twins.
Yes.
And Rodney was like, okay, going back to play football. So he was gone. So it's just me and my mom. And it was like, oh my gosh, so overwhelming, but so amazing.
Yeah, so beautiful.
I mean,
Didn't
just
you do like an Ebony magazine cover?
Yes, that
I
iconic Ebony cover.
Yeah.
I had the little mini Riperton baby's breath in my hair, and it was like everything, and it was just this blissful.
Yes.
I had this I'll never forget that. You know that surge of hormones you get when you're pregnant. Hair was down to here, and I was just I was just doing. It was such an amazing time. And then I just noticed, like, when he was probably about 18 months, he was like playing alongside his sister, but he wasn't looking at her. He wasn't connecting with her.
Yeah.
He was walking weirdly on his tippy toes. His language wasn't developing like hers was. And the pediatrician just kept saying, stop comparing him to her because she's a girl and boys are slower in their development. And so I guess I wasn't worried, but in my gut, I was like, something's not right. And then when I got to preschool age and I saw him lined up next to his typical peers and boys, and he couldn't run with the pack of boys, that's when I knew. Like something's happening and I can't put my finger on it. But I couldn't get the pediatrician or my husband to get on board with trying to figure out what was going on.
Yeah, let's talk about that husband piece, because I think a lot of wives, a lot of women just in general who have children with autism are dealing with that right now. That hubby is not on board. You will not try to label his boy, his child.
Oh,
absolutely not. Well, how did you get him to come around?
Oh my gosh. Well, if he was sitting right here, I would say I threatened him with divorce. I threatened to walk I felt like a player. I can do bad all by myself. Like I need help.
Yes.
And not to be corny, but I needed a quarterback for our team. Like I got 1,000 football analogies I could use, but I needed a team. And he was not on board. And I just didn't have in me the wherewithal to go, oh, I'm sorry, this isn't the kid that you thought you were going to get, and you're disappointed in this child who bears your name as your first boy, like his disappointment. And I was like, bump all that. I got stuff to do, and I need you to get on board with me. Yeah. So what I would do is, remember, he's playing football and he's out of the city that we're living in, right? So I would just dog ear pages of every book. Remember, we didn't have moments of joy. We didn't have these little forums like this. So I would just look at books. I'd dog ear page. I'd highlight page. I would try to turnkey it for him. I would put it in packages and send it to him when he was playing with the Raiders. I sent it to Oakland. And then I would go up to see him, package not even open. I was like, I know you lying right now.
Yeah.
No, I didn't try to just like make this so easy for you. I'm doing all the hard work. So, I mean, long story short, it wasn't until he got embarrassed that he really turned around. We were sitting there doing something called floor time. I don't think they do floor time anymore, but it was kind of an alternative to ABA therapy, where you get down and you get right in the face of your child and try to engage with them. And I was a master at it because I was going all the classes. I was listening to, and Rodney just was in denial, right? So the therapist was like, okay, Rodney, why don't you try? And he sat down and he didn't know what he was doing. And my husband, he was a quarterback, okay? He's the captain of the team. He knows the plays, and he does not like to be caught out there with literally with like his pants down, for lack of a better analogy. He was embarrassed. And that was what it took for him to go, oh, I can't have somebody know how to talk to or communicate with my son, and I don't know how to. So he got on board, and I felt really lucky because I did tell him, I need to be here for him. You got to figure this out, and I can't walk on eggshells.
That's right.
So it wasn't until later on when he wrote a book, Camille, that I read the book, and I was like, ooh, I was kind of mean. I didn't know I was that mean. I was kind of, I was a B to him. Yes. And I guess I just didn't have the patience, and I'm glad that he did come around. But I do counsel a lot of new moms that you have to be more patient because it's difficult for dads. Not all of them. In many cases, I know it's the mom that can't handle it and the dad that's on board. So just whichever parent is in denial, you do have to exercise a little bit of patience. That they're not necessarily equipped to process the diagnosis. That's right. That doesn't mean that it goes on 2 years, 3 years, that you're going to stick around and do this all by yourself. But it does mean that you probably should be a little bit more patient than I was.
And I know for a fact that many moms can relate to that. There are many whose husbands and spouses and children's fathers are in denial, and they lead them to go to the appointments by themselves. Mom is just overwhelmed and dad is in denial. So I know you just helped so many people in
You
hearing
know,
that
and
story.
all I would do to add to that is, yes, be patient, but also just know that it's so important to build this team around your kid. And sometimes our spouses, our families,
Families,
our
come on.
in-laws,
Yep.
they don't understand. Sometimes our churches are not
Come
on
on.
board.
Nope.
So, I mean, you have to look outside your immediate community to
Yes.
build this team for your child. Because when you're gone, or if you're not around, somebody's got to be able to step in. And it
Yes.
might not always be a family member. It might not be your husband. It might not be your husband or your ex-husband. It might be somebody from school that you met. It might be another parent who understands. It might be a student teacher or just someone in your community that steps up for you. So however that team is made up, build that team and start early.
Yeah. You oftentimes, probably a dozen times, I have heard you talk about that infamous never day. I feel like I can quote you on it by now. And so many moms still are experiencing that. As long as it has been for you, they're still getting it. So I want you to talk about that day.
Well, I'm going to talk about the never day in the context of 2026. Or actually, let's go back a few months, 2025. Because that never day, we talk about the day we got the diagnosis and we were given the laundry list of things he would never do, right?
Yeah.
But like, I thought we had moved past that as a community. And in so many ways, we're still there.
Yeah, we are.
And that's very disappointing to me. I've been talking about the never day. RJ's 28. I've been talking about the never day for 20 something years. And the idea of talking about it was to not, so that we don't have to have those never days. Where's the hope? Where's the, the support? Where's the team around you? And never let somebody set possibilities and limits for your child, ever. And I just thought we had moved past that until I heard Robert Kennedy Jr. come out and basically hold a press conference and have a whole never day right in front of the world. They'll never do this. They'll never do that. I was so triggered.
Yeah.
And it just bothered me so much because I was like, when I say we, the community and those in my generation, as moms, we've worked really hard to eradicate that whole word.
Absolutely.
We don't even say that word anymore.
Absolutely.
So to hear this man run off these nevers, that really bothered me. But yeah, the never day it's just the day where we sat down across from a developmental pediatrician and she ran off this list. He'll never speak mainstream in school, have a job, have a partner. He'll never have friends. I mean, she just matter-of-factly, and it's so then fast forward to, I want to say like maybe 6 years later, I went on the Oprah show. And I talked about that doctor so bad, but I didn't mention her name. But I wanted to embarrass her on national TV.
Yes.
Because I wanted her and other doctors to hear that. Don't ever sit there in front of because there was this, I'm like, this is our Welcome to Autism handbook, these 80 nevers.
Yeah.
And so, it's something I talk about a lot, but I didn't think I needed to talk about it in the context of telling people that this wasn't a good thing. So to hear it even more recently come up, that really got me.
Yeah, it's easy for us to, when we receive that diagnosis, to be distraught, to be destroyed, to come with our own list of nevers because we don't know. When I heard severe autism, I was like, what the severe? What does that mean?
Right.
Like, I'm going through the list of my own nevers. So to have a doctor say what they'll never do?
Right.
That's
now
crazy.
you're opening up a medical book and you're giving me the Bible of what will happen to my child.
Yeah.
And if you would have told me that RJ would be the young man that he is today, after hearing all those nevers, I would not have believed you.
And you have plowed the ground for people like me to come along and talk about autism because you came out and you didn't go back into hiding after you said, my son has autism. You know, many celebrities say that, and then that's all we hear. But you dug your feet in and you started to do the work and plow the ground to shift that narrative from being negative to showing positive to showing community. I feel like not just for Black and brown families, but just in general. We watched your show for your, you know, your family on TV, and I feel like you put a face to what autism is. Your family definitely did.
Well, thank you,
for a lot
Camille,
of us,
because that is what I set out to do. When we got the diagnosis, again, nothing like what we're doing now.
Mm-hmm.
I knew of some celebrities who had kids on the spectrum but weren't talking publicly about it. And there were 2 quarterbacks. I'm gonna give these guys credit because they did talk about it when it really no one was talking about autism. Dan Marino and Doug Flutie, 2 quarterbacks, like my husband was, who talked openly about their children on the spectrum. And they gave me hope. But other than that, I saw nobody. I certainly saw no one in the Black community talking about it. And I mean, nobody.
Because we don't do diagnoses.
Because we don't talk about stuff like that. No. And we don't talk about mental health.
No.
And it's a stigma and all of that. So it was then that I decided, okay, I'm going to take on not just the challenge of giving him the best chance to cope in the world, but I'm also going to do this for other people. Mm-hmm. And that also was another stickler with Rodney, for Rodney. He didn't want his kid to be the poster child for autism. He didn't, when RJ would come to the football field, he would flap and stem and run around, and he wasn't like the other football kids. Mm-hmm. He wasn't like the other NFL kids. He didn't ask for autographs. He didn't go catch the ball and stuff. So he was, and I don't want to say Rodney was embarrassed, but it was like, it was hard for him. And I didn't see anybody. So when I look up now and I see so many NFLers having this conversation out loud, I was just posting about one of them the other day. I was like, look at this man go. Just talking so eloquently about it. It had all the vernacular about acceptance and love and stemming and sensory overload. I was like, you better. So I don't want to say I feel responsible for it, but I will say it makes me really proud. Yes. And it makes me so encouraged to hear that. So when we started going out and having conversations, and we wrote books because we didn't see any books, we advocated every show we could. And once Rodney got on board, that was powerful because as a dad, he could admit that he had been in denial. And that, I think, was a great example for dads, not just Black dads, but just dads in general. He was doing roundtables with them. And then, like you said, that was one of the main reasons why we decided to do Meet the Peetes. Yeah. And For Pete's Sake and we did both of the shows. For Pete's Sake was on OWN, and Meet the Peetes was on the Hallmark Channel. And we wanted to show a young man with autism. We wanted to show him get his driver's license. We wanted to show him get a job. Yeah. We wanted to show him dating, which he's still working on that. We wanted to show that because we wanted to normalize his life a little bit.
And you affirmed him in there because one time he said he didn't want to be autistic. And you affirmed him. Yeah.
Many times. He didn't want people to call him that. Mm-hmm. And I had to be like, babe, this is part of who you are. It's not everything. Mm-hmm. So you need to embrace, you have some superpowers in there. Mm-hmm. You need to embrace some of that. And he was just like, but I don't want to be different, and I get bullied. And so I had to dig deep inside my mommy bag to get some of these little lessons that I was learning along the way and sharing with the community, because I wanted to be a source of encouragement. And your son, my son, everyone out there, all our kids are different. Yep. They respond to different things. Yep. Therapies are different for each one. I'm currently counseling a family of a high profile artist who just, is focused, doesn't want to be on blast, but really wants, the support, but is worried about the stigma. Yeah. So, and that's another thing that I thought kind of we had eradicated, but that's still there too.
It is. And I feel like sadly, it's more so in the Black and brown community.
Correct.
You know, but I feel like we are dismantling that the more we speak out about it and the more we show it's okay for your child to be autistic.
Yes.
This is not a
yes.
death sentence or, you know, a limitation. It can be. And if it is, they'll be all right either way.
They will be all right either way. And our goal is to, meaning you and me, because I know enough about you to know that this is one of your goals, is to normalize it so that the world, right? I always say I wouldn't change RJ for the world, but I would change the world for RJ because the world doesn't embrace our kids. So when RJ's out there, he's straight now, but because he's surrounded by people that are so supportive of him. But before putting him out there, it was just, I couldn't sleep at night.
Yeah.
Because I would be so worried about who might interact with him that doesn't know who he is or understand who he is or care about him or love on him. Or would he interact with police and would they not understand who he was? And is he going to end up being a hashtag? Like, I would just be up all night worried about this. So I think our goal is to let people understand how beautiful our kids are, not to be scared of them, to understand them, and to come in their world and embrace them.
Yeah. I want to highlight one thing you said, because RJ's a twin and his twin is not autistic.
Right.
So how was that navigating? Did she ever wonder if she was too? Because they're twins.
Very good question. So back to Dr. Doomsday.
Yeah.
And you know who you are. Back to her. So when finally I got Rodney on board and the pediatrician to send me to a developmental pediatrician. Like, I'm like, something's going on.
Yeah.
Finally got him in there. And so he does the, why am I tripping on the evaluation? Thank you. Does the evaluation. And Ryan was in there too. So she evaluates both of them. Because she said she wanted to see them play side by side.
Yeah.
At the end of the evaluation, she tells us that Ryan's on the spectrum too.
Wow.
She says they both have autism. They're both on the spectrum. And so that didn't seem right for me.
Yeah.
But mind you, she's a professional. So I'm like, So I went home, I processed it. We struggled through the nevers and all that stuff. I was like, that's not right. So I went back to her and I said, I don't think you're right. And you try telling the doctor that. And she was like, well, I'll reevaluate her. And turns out she was mimicking him.
Wow.
She was like, you going down, twin brother? I'm going down. She did everything he did. Because I read the report and said, she's lining up blocks. I said, she don't line up blocks. Yeah. She's lining up the dolls. She was just looking at everything he did and doing what he did. She was like, I got your back. Yeah. Like, I'm not letting you go down like this. So she has ADHD. She has things that I didn't diagnose. We didn't get diagnosed till later. And that is, I call that a mommy fail. Because I was so focused on the squeaky wheel, which was her twin brother, that I did not see that. I knew she had some sensitivities. I knew she was had some emotional issues. And I thought it was because she spent so much time guarding him, taking care of him. But at the end of the day, she actually did have ADHD. And I didn't really get that diagnosed until like middle school. And I felt so bad about it because she needed help as well. Yeah. But she's not on the spectrum. She's still the world's greatest twin sister. And, you know, when I see them now, they're 28. It's like, first of all, how did I get them this far? Because when I was coming out that hospital with both of them, I was like, I'm not going to last a week.
Yes.
And now they're 28.
Yes.
So, but yeah, it was really interesting. But so she was always the non-autistic twin, right? Which was a tricky role to play.
Yeah.
And something that I do in my speeches and just traveling the world is always say to embrace that sibling, whether it's a twin or older or younger sibling, find some time to just take him or her out one-on-one, give them that one-on-one time, because they do get wrapped up in sort of the identity of being the sister or brother of someone with autism.
I can totally relate to that because I have a similar story with my 18-year-old. He'll be 19 in a few weeks. I didn't know that he was struggling the way that he was. He has dyscalculia, but I didn't get him diagnosed and evaluated till he was 15.
Okay.
And I didn't know to look for that. He was misbehaving in math, and I was like, why is this the only class that he's clowning in? So we went to get, I put him on punishment, and I got him tutoring. And then I said, before I put him on punishment, let me ask the school to evaluate him. Oh my gosh. I felt so horrible.
Listen,
when they said dyscalculia.
I know you did. I did. I felt the same way. I was like, what a terrible mother you are.
Yes.
I felt so bad because here I was out there, raising the fist for autism and advocating and sorting out all these questions for other families. And I was right in front of me was my poor daughter who was struggling with her own issues. And I just thought, oh, she's she's going to be a teenager. She's, this is just what girls do. And I found myself falling right into that. So, we're allowed to have those moments.
Yep.
We're only human.
That's right.
And what I think it does is by talking about this openly, there might be a mom or a dad out there that just like, let me pay a little bit more attention to. Because what happens is if you have the non-autistic kids, like you're like, oh, you'll be all right. Y'all be all right. Like, you end up being kind of stronger and a little bit harder on them.
Just by default.
Yeah. Like I'm on an airplane and if RJ is pushing the button, ding, 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 and then you start acting up, then I'm going to come hard.
Better.
You know better.
Yeah.
So do as I say.
Yeah.
And you know what they do? My kids are hilarious. They unearth video and they'll be like, look at you, mom. Look at you, mom. Like, listen, I did the best with what I had.
That's right. That's right.
I did the best I could.
Yeah.
I'm not perfect.
No manual.
But they're funny now as adults. They be like, you sure? Look how you yelled at Ryan. She didn't do nothing. Look at her. I was like, leave me alone.
Yes. So right now I'm navigating with my older son, allowing him to share with me that he's embarrassed. He recently had a senior night basketball game and Mason has an adaptive stroller.
Yeah.
We put him in it when he's in an environment that we know he's going to get overwhelmed in.
Right.
So it's a senior night basketball. I tell him, we're going to have to bring Mason because both of us have to go out on the court with you, but we don't have family here to watch Mason. So he said, Mom, don't bring that stroller. And I was like, well, he's disabled. He was like, well, everybody else doesn't know that. And I said, okay, you're right. And I'm going to let you have your night. I got a babysitter and actually two. And they stayed in my house with Mason and me and my husband went to the senior night basketball game with Kenneth. And then recently we had a moment where we were in public and Mason was having a meltdown. And he's like, why are you always giving him juice? Like juice and snacks when he starts. He doesn't need it. I said, yes, we're trying to diffuse the situation. I'm teaching him. And I said, are you embarrassed? And he said, yes.
Wow.
And I allowed him to feel that. And I didn't say, Mason's disabled. I said,
You didn't make an excuse for it.
I said, that's a real feeling. But as he gets older, you won't feel embarrassed. You will feel protective over him and just always keep in mind that he can't help it.
Right.
And that we have to protect him. And I was like, if we're embarrassed, then what are the other people going to think? We have to stand strong and protect him. So, but I don't hush him and make him know.
You don't hush him. Yeah.
No.
And that's so important. In the moment when you're dealing with this, it's hard to make always the best choices as a mom. You just need to get through the situation. I've been blown away at how my other two boys have advocated for RJ. When somebody called somebody the R word at school, not to RJ, but in front of Roman, my youngest.
Yes.
He laid that person, not physically.
Yeah.
He laid that boy out on social media. He put it on blast.
Yes.
And he said to the person that said, I think it was sped or something that they were saying that was derogatory, this word really triggers me. And if you want to be my friend, don't ever say it around me again. And I was like, ooh, Roman, like he wrote a long paragraph. And Roman he's a man of few words. So when he lays it out like that, he made it clear. And the teacher told me that she was so blown away by it because no one does that. They might say it to someone in small doses, but to put it on social media is like, I'm putting y'all on notice right now.
Yeah.
Do not say that word around me. Do not come to me with that. If you want to come up with a derogatory term to call somebody something, call them a punk or a fool or whatever you want to call them. But you are not saying that word in front of me. And if you do, you get out of my circle. I was like, whoa. So I was really impressed with that. And I think that the siblings need that space to feel what they're feeling.
Yeah.
And then the other things will happen, right? They need that space to feel that. But I've been impressed by how my kids advocate for their brother, even when it's not about him.
Really beautiful. How have you managed to not allow your marriage to crumble in this? Because statistics are so high. I think 85% of families end in divorce who have autistic children. What have you guys done to stick together in this and make sure that you don't allow it to separate you?
Therapy. Therapy is key. And to anyone out there that's thinking, oh, therapy is, somebody shrinking my head, or, they're going to do voodoo on me, or lobotomy. It's just a third party who is an objective voice in the room. And we need that objective voice in the room. We all have our own little stuff.
Yeah.
And we can't always work these things out. You got a plumbing problem, you call it a plumber.
That's right.
You got a disagreement where you're not hearing me, and or you have a different way of processing autism or whatever the issue is. We found that a third party really helped. And that's where I think we really went right. That's what I think saved us, because Rodney was willing to listen to a third party. He was willing to hear that. And this woman was our guest of honor at our wedding. So we went to her for premarital counseling. But then when we ran into the autism stuff, we brought her back in, and she was really instrumental. And then even later on, when we had other issues pertaining to Rodney retiring, because, when these football players retire, they go through some stuff. Now, my football wife friends had told me about it, but it wasn't until it actually happened that I was like, oh, so this is what they mean by this. The lights go out. They're elite athletes their whole life. They're stars in Pop Warner in high school, and blah, 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 and then the lights go out and they're retired. And it does numbers on them. And Rodney was no exception. I mean, I was like, what is wrong with... First of all, he was home. And that was my domain.
Yeah.
And the kids were like, well, Dad said that we could... I said, who? Oh, that's right. He's home now. So we had to adjust as parents, because I'm the alpha parent. So I had to give him space. And that took a lot of work. So talking to someone was super helpful. And I would say that, I don't want to go so far as to say it saved our marriage, but it just gave us the tools that we needed to choose each other and just really be respectful.
I think something that I see often when it comes to celebrities, when we post about the celebrities that have children with special needs, people say that, oh, they don't have it like us. They're celebrities. They have nannies. They have this. They have that. And what do you say to that?
Well, first of all, if I sat here and said, well, we're just like you. Yeah, we are in many ways. But for me to compare myself to a single mom, working 2-3 jobs and trying to just make ends meet, that has to choose between therapy and groceries, I'm not going to do that. I would never do that, which is why my give back is to advocate for them. That's and right. Is to embrace them and to talk to them and talk through them and advocate for them through legislation, or just to be a vessel for them and to be a voice, because that just wouldn't make sense. People, well, money doesn't make you happy. Yeah. Well, it can make things better, because you can pay your rent, or you could pay your mortgage, or you don't have to worry about groceries. And in this economy, with everything so expensive and over the top, gas, you name it, it's like, okay, so now I'm going to drive my kid to therapy, and I got to pay what for gas? So now you got to pay and it all adds up, and it's all a strain. And if I had to make those choices, so people that are in my position, you know, when we have, you know, resources like that, there's no comparison. So that's an extra added burden that makes it harder. So it is harder. But what I would say is that, you know, at the end of the day, we all want the same things for our kids. We all love our kids. We just want them to be happy. We want them to be accepted. We want them to be loved. We want them to feel taken care of when they step out into the world.
Yes.
And so we are similar in that way. But no, I'm not going to be the one that's just like, oh, I'm just like you. I mean, I am in so many ways, you know, and I'm somebody that people come up and talk to all the time. Like, I don't know what it is about me, but people will come up and just tell me their business. And I consider that, you know, a compliment. But what I try to say is that I understand what you're going through, but there is that extra added thing when the struggle is a little bit harder, financially, emotionally. Like I just got finished saying, oh, my husband and I went to therapy. Not everybody can afford therapy. But there are programs.
Yes.
And if you have the opportunity to find a program that offers therapy or offers counseling, take it.
Yes.
Take it. There are a lot of free therapy programs at a lot of different organizations. In LA, HollyRod, we offer that. I mean, these are things that you want to take advantage of. But they're not cheap. Autism is not cheap.
No, it's not. And I recently heard that maybe back in the day, it was like a wealthy person diagnosis because you had to have money to even get that specific diagnosis.
You better say that.
They would diagnose us mental retardation.
That's right. They would give us mild mental retardation or that's right. That's exactly right.
I love studying this stuff.
You've been down that rabbit hole because let me tell you something. That's exactly right. It was a rich, wealthy, white affliction.
Yes,
and it was not something that no one even thought about for our kids. And so that is very, very true.
Yeah.
And so that's part of the reason why in our community, it's harder to accept.
It is.
So when you know that, you start from there and have that conversation from there. It has a lot to do with just our history as people in America. Like, we've had a unique history, unique struggles. So you have to keep that in context. But that's very true.
Yes.
And I hadn't heard it said like that in a minute.
Yeah. Well, there you go. You said earlier that you started the HollyRod Foundation for Parkinson's, and then with RJ, then you added autism.
Yeah.
And so can you talk a little bit about that work that you guys do? I had the opportunity to go to Design Care 2024. Yep.
That's all right. You'll be back in 2026.
Yes.
But I, Parkinson's disease is it's also, I don't want to say it's not an elite disease but we're just really now talking about Parkinson's in the Black community. Yeah. Even though we had the amazing Muhammad Ali, who, by the way, and I tell this story all the time, saved HollyRod Foundation because we were about to go under. And he showed up to one of our events early on, to Design Care early on. And when he came, press came, money came, funding came, and it was like, phew, so what a blessing he was. But until him and even after him, we didn't really see a lot of Black folks talking about Parkinson's or having Parkinson's. Now, my dad had Parkinson's and we lost him at only 66. There's a lot we didn't know back then in the 80s, certainly about exercise, which is so key. My brother has Parkinson's now, and he got it young onset like my dad. And what's really interesting is that at the end of the day, it's like, the more you talk about it and the more information you get out there. And that's what we knew we wanted to do when he got the diagnosis. My dad got the diagnosis in the 80s.
Yeah.
Nobody was talking about Parkinson's.
Yeah.
And then I saw Michael J. Fox and I saw how he was, I remember watching him moving his hands in his pockets like this.
Yeah.
And I was like, I know what that means.
Yeah.
And I knew him from showbiz, and I wrote him a letter and said, just checking in on you. And he told me earlier than he told like the world. And so anyway, we wanted to share that awareness because with Parkinson's, if you don't have the money, you can't get the drugs, you can't unroll your body. Like you're stiff. And with Parkinson's, it's on time and off time, right? So when you're on is when the medicine kicks in, but your body knows it's a synthetic version of dopamine, which you don't have anymore. You have a very little bit of, and it starts to play a game on you. It tricks you. And so you have to constantly play like moving the coconut shells with these medicines. But if you can't afford the medicine, then what do you do? So we started getting letters from people when I talked openly about the Parkinson's about my grandfather can't afford the medicine. So as a result, that's what we first started doing with HollyRod.
Okay.
Then we get the diagnosis of autism. And then we realized, oh my God, nobody's having these conversations in the Black community. And that's what we started doing. So we still support Parkinson's. We support the boxing classes. And my brother, like, he is such a good Parkinson's patient. Like when I tell you this, he was hiking and boxing, and he's taking advantage of all the things we know now, all these years later. And so I love having this nonprofit that is supporting both of these things because they both, especially the Parkinson's, is still something in our family.
Yeah.
But the camaraderie and love between Uncle Matt and RJ is like legendary.
Yeah.
So I love that they're both, poster child's not a good thing, but they're the face of the organization.
Absolutely.
They're faces of the organization.
Absolutely. And you wrote children's books. My sister has it in her classroom. She's a third grade
does?
teacher. Yep. And during Autism Awareness Month, she'll read it to the children to teach them.
Does she have Charlie Makes a Splash?
Yes, she does.
She does.
Charlie Makes a Splash.
Yep. And we're working on a third book.
Wow.
Which would be more along the lines of like, Charlie just goes on and gets a ring and does great things in sports. And so we're working on that now.
Okay. Wow. That is so beautiful.
I mean, those books, by the way,
that
was another thing. When we got the diagnosis and after the Never Day, I went right to the library and didn't see any books. I saw textbooks and books this thick written by Sigmund Freud and whatever, but like I didn't see anything. And what I really didn't see were any brown kids. So when I, to this day, walk into a store, like a Barnes & Noble or a bookstore, and I see our book and I see these two Black kids on the cover, I just get the chills because that's what I wanted. Representation.
That's right.
And inclusion. And so super proud of those books.
It is so important. Everything that you have done, like I said, plowed the way for us. It is so important. And you definitely are a big sister to all of us.
Oh, thank
because of your
you.
boldness, we can be bold. We don't have to feel, scared to put our children's face out to encourage. It's just, like continuing to push us forward. I don't want to say passing the baton because you're still right here running with us.
No, but I feel like that. I do. I feel a little mother henish about this because that's why I get so encouraged when I see you doing the work that you do. Because I don't even think it's Mason's 8, you said? It's like, I think when RJ was 8, I'd done a lot of TV shows and things, and I'd done a lot of awareness that way, but like some of the programs and things that you're doing, I hadn't quite gotten there yet. And that's something that I want to say because I think people think I got the diagnosis, I put my cape on and started flying through the air.
Yeah.
It wasn't like that. I got the diagnosis and I cried for weeks and weeks and weeks. Rodney went into denial. I went to work on RJ, but I wasn't like Superwoman right away. So I always say to people that get the diagnosis, it's okay to be sad. It's okay to feel like, why me? It's okay to do that. But then you have to
gotta get up,
dust your shoes off and go. And I've had this conversation with a lot of people. And one of the people that I mentored was my great friend, Tisha Campbell, who everyone knows.
Yes.
And when I look at her and I see her with Zen now and they're just goofy on social media and being silly and just Zen has embraced his full self. She's accepted him for who he is and he's just so beautiful. And our kids all grew up together. the things she says, well, you were kind of really like a gangster friend with me. And I said, yeah, because I wanted you to cry and get it out. And then I needed you to stop. And then I needed you to get going. But that's what I did. Like I did that. But I just say that because I think people think, oh, I got the diagnosis and then I immediately went to work as an advocate. No, I immediately felt some kind of way. I felt like, why me? I went from this blissful having these beautiful twins to, you know, you're never going to do anything. I just think it's important to mention that because you are allowed to feel that way, but then you got to go to work.
Yeah, you got to get to work. Absolutely. So how is RJ today?
RJ is, well, he's phenomenal. He's great. He is still, he has this great job, right? He works for the Los Angeles Dodgers. He's just starting his 11th season. He's at spring training right now. He gets up at 5 a.m. and opens up the facility for the players. He works very, very hard. He loads stuff. He, as a clubhouse attendant, it's a lot of manual labor. But where his beautiful brain comes into play is that he knows everything about those players. And I mean everything. I mean, what school they went to, who they grew, where they grew up, what, of course, their birthdays. And, you know, he knows everything about them. And they have embraced that in a way that is so beautiful. You know, they don't play about their clubby. Beautiful. They don't play about RJ Peete, these players. And I'm always like, you know, you see me in social media, thank you, Dodgers, for embracing my kid. And they're like, would you stop thanking us? We should be thanking you. Because this young man brings us, you got me all this pretty makeup and I'm about to mess it up. This young man brings us a sense of joy and love in this arena. You know, they're paid a lot and they're big stars in baseball, but baseball's stressful. And they play 162 games and they have bad games and they have rough stuff that happens. We had a player who lost a child last year. Like, as a family, and they told me that RJ brings them a sense of happiness when they walk into the clubhouse. Every single day, he's never in a bad mood. Now, what I know about RJ is that he masks.
Okay. Yeah, a lot of people do. Yes. Yes.
And I have to be there. I'm the one that's there to help him come out of that mask. Like, I think people think, oh, you know, and they see him on the World Series and he's won a ring. He goes through the day and he loves his job, but it's very hard for him. He's still at 28, would come home from work and jump on the trampoline for 2 hours to get right on his body. So these are the things that people don't know about him. He's just a phenomenal young man. He loves that team. He loves those players. He don't play about his players. But going to work for him is still a very difficult task for him to be normal in this world. Thanks a lot, Camille.
Conversation.
I didn't know I was going to get emotional. But
so rich. As we close, I want you to, I know there are so many parents that are raising children with autism who are looking at this episode for encouragement. So I want you to look right at that camera and give the overwhelmed parent some encouragement today.
Well, first of all, I would say that it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. Whatever you're being told about, we'll assume that you're getting your never day right now, and someone's telling you all these things that your child is never going to be. You cannot listen to that. I want you to understand that this is not an easy journey, but there is so much out there now. Matter of fact, if you're getting the diagnosis today, you have resources like this lady. You have someone to look up to. You have books that you can read. You have communities. You have resource centers. You have so many things now that a lot of us didn't have in the 80s or even before that. And so consider yourself someone that, that is dealing with autism now in a time when there's more resources. But the most important thing is to build a team around your child. Now, that team might consist of your immediate family or your extended family or your in-laws, your church community, but it might not. There may be people in your zeitgeist that don't understand what autism is. Don't mess with them. I mean, I don't want to encourage you not to be nice to them. I'm saying when it comes to the autism, go out and seek people who are like-minded, who understand what you're experiencing. And also, some of the best, I call them angels on the path. Some of the best advice and some of the best people that I've met along this journey have been other autism parents and autism families. So find them, find your tribe, find your people, connect with them, and build upon that. But mostly, do not ever let someone define your child's future. And if you lean on your faith, lean on that. But you got to marry that with action. And action is so important. It's one thing to pray on it. We all gonna pray, right? Mm-hmm. But we have to pair that with actual action, that you're in the community, that you're doing things for your child, you're advocating. And then finally, and this one is, my tongue's a little in my cheek, but when you're at school or dealing with school, I always say, if they don't roll their eyes when they see you coming, you're not doing your job. Because that means that you're kind of, you want to get more with honey, okay, than you get with vinegar, but you also want to advocate in a way where they see you and they're like, here comes Camille. Let me get right. Because I know she doesn't play about her son. Mm-hmm. So that's just a few things.
Yes. And to the people who are watching that don't have a child with autism, the auntie, the uncle, the person passing by in the grocery store.
Yes.
What would you like to say to those people?
I want to say to those people, we need you. Mm-hmm. We need you to be part of our community. Just because something doesn't impact you directly, just because you don't live it every day, doesn't mean you can't have empathy and love and compassion for what other people are experiencing. Those are my kind of people. People who see something happening and can help. You see a child laid out in the supermarket. It may not be that child is spoiled. It may be that the child has special needs. Just don't judge. Be open to being supportive. So we need the aunties. Shout out to Auntie Terry, the best friend auntie ever.
Shout out to TT.
You know what? We gotta shout our aunties, our aunties out, because she has been like the most amazing. And I have a whole community of them. So thank you if you are in this community for supporting us, for supporting families. And then the other thing I would just add that if you want to help, ask someone how you can help. Because sometimes you don't know. It may be simple as, can you just run to the grocery store for me? It may be a little bit more complex, like, can you babysit for me? Or can you watch my other kids while I do X, Y, and Z? But sometimes when you just ask someone what they need, you'd be shocked and surprised how small of a thing they actually need will actually help them.
That was beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Camille.
Something you said about community, I thought about that. That's the most impactful thing for me. Yeah. Mason has autism, but he was born with congenital heart disease. Mm-hmm. So he had 3 heart surgeries, and the last one was open heart. So that's why, for me, I focus on special needs, because I found out that we are all the same. Like what we feel after the diagnosis, the Down syndrome mom.
Yes.
The congenital heart disease mom, the medical mom, the mom in the NICU who's
the cerebral palsy mom.
Yes, the cerebral palsy mom. We're all one big community. So Holly, thank you for being here.
We're all one big community, and keep up the great work. Keep supporting all of these people. You're just building this great empire, and just keep doing it, because you're doing amazing work. You're making it happen.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you for coming on
You're
and dropping
welcome.
all of this knowledge, wisdom, and letting us hang out with you. And
I'm
get
so
to
glad
know
that we
you
got a
even
chance to do
more.
this in person.
Yes, me too. I am so glad. Guys, what an amazing way to start Autism Awareness Month, Autism Awareness and Acceptance. I think we learned that even more today. So, as we wrap up, do not forget that you always have the option to choose joy. Bye bye.